Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, legends. How's everybody doing? Let's analyze the situation here all together. Hope you're doing absolutely great. Let's go through the comment section. Let's take a look at Bitcoin because my goodness, it is testing the patience. It's over, guys. It is over. We go lower, we go higher, we get a bounce, we don't get a bounce. We just roll over and continue rolling over. Still in the range of the last few days here on Bitcoin. And we'll be discussing a few scenarios eventually, okay? It's looking nice, it's looking good, it's looking okay. Let's go right away and say hello to the beautiful community, okay? Let me just switch the screen here. Hang on a minute. There we go. Yes, legends. How's everyone doing? Let's go through the comment section. First of all, say hello to the beautiful community. And let me know if the music's a little bit too loud or not. Let's go, let's go, let's go. We are live. Guys, how are you doing? Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing really, really good. Okay, everybody. Hope that you're doing okay with your trading. We're still in this range of the last few days. It's kind of getting a little bit tricky up and down. Okay, a little bit tricky in this range. We're going to discuss a few things. Okay, a few things. We're going to build up together the different scenarios. We are looking for that reverse. I'm saying we as a community, right? Maybe if some of you are very, very bearish. Let me ask a poll here actually, because how are you feeling, guys? How are you feeling with Bitcoin? Let me know. Very bearish. I am bullish. Let me know. Let me know, guys. How are you feeling with Bitcoin in general on the poll? Okay. Get your votes in right away. And feeling very bearish. Feeling very bearish. I am bullish. Let me know the votes and we can see a little bit of the general sentiment, guys, because without a doubt, yes, we are downtrending. We're a bit ranging now for a few days, okay? A little bit rangy. No big major moves. Let's go through the comment section and say hello to the beautiful community, and then we'll break down a few of the scenarios. Higher time frame. We know the general story. Okay, we need to talk about something later on. Let's quickly say hello to the beautiful community. Smash up that like button, guys, if you do enjoy the content, the education. All right. Looking for a reversal. Okay, that doesn't mean that we need to absolutely, create a big pump right away, but we are looking for exhaustion. I am looking for exhaustion, looking for a reversal as explained in the last few days, which we're just chopping around here, right? It's a choppy, confusing, difficult environment. Ranges are good for shorts and longs, but generally, as I would prefer longs for the next few days. But of course, internal shorts to potentially target the lows again on these dead cat bounces that we're getting. It's still definitely an option. Still definitely an option to try and get into shorts on the bounces here. But I mean, we've been bearish for many, for the last 1 to 2 weeks already, right? We were bearish to break down below 99k, right? 98, 96. We're gonna have to see the price, how we get down there, slow down, and then we'll analyze the situation. But yeah, eventually this is the chop range, right? Which is difficult, right? Trying and time the lows before the reversal is complex, right? When you have a new uptrend, then it's easier to follow the trend, just as it has been easier to follow the downtrend throughout the last few days, especially when you have some poor lows and some very, very clear corrective structures to the upside. It has been relatively easy to follow the trend in the last, 1 to 2 weeks, right? We've been actually quite bearish to get below 99k, right? Looking mainly on the highest probability scenarios, which was looking for shorts. Last week, right over here at 107k. Just last week on Thursday, also at 103k, looking for that rollover. And now we're looking for, I'm seriously looking for the bounce, but of course, there's nothing that we can really spot as this is an awesome short. Bam, test the lows. Last week was easier here and was easier here in this range. Down here, you know, make sure to get on at the highs. If you do have resistance, you do have a plan. But ultimately, this is slowing down. It is slowing down, and we just need to be aware that a reversal bounce is cooking, right? Is cooking for the moment. You can chop here for a few days, the lows, you know, and then get that bounce, which is obviously, if you are looking to catch the low, you want to get in at the lowest level possible. There's no more to it. Or you wait, right? Long in here at the lows, I would say it's not a bad option because your stop loss is so small. The problem is, you know, shorting at the lows here or longing at the highs. Longing at these bounces is very, very risky because you can chop the lows again. You can chop the lows again, right? You don't want to be longing on these little bounces. We're not looking at the 1 minute, 3 minute time frame, guys. On these bounces of the last 1-2 days, it's just not. You don't want to long on these bounces, that is for sure, because you can chop the lows again. And you know, we are hoping that we double bottom right on these lows that are created. That's the thing here. You know, it's looking good for that reversal. It seriously is. Okay. However, I know the sentiment is like crap. You know, somebody sent me a message. I'm not sure if it's in the comment section here today, but BlackRock sold, I don't know, 4,000 or so Bitcoin, right? Or did a transfer to sell Bitcoin. I think there's many outflows on the ETF, BTC ETF. I know, guys, this is the thing, right? This is the thing. The sentiment has to be feeling like crap down here. It's just the general way, right? When that reversal happens, you know, this always happens. It's difficult to absolutely spot the exact low when we're going to get that reversal, guys, when we are forming this choppiness. However, it will be easier once we do get a successful move up, very trending, very, very impulsive, that can be detectable when it happens. As we don't happen, you know, we do chart analysis and the chart needs to tell us a story. The story is it more likely to go lower or is it more likely to go up? Is it likely to reverse soon? Is it likely to bottom out soon? Right? You kind of get the general idea. And that's what we try and detect here on the channel, right? We try and detect ABC, right? This looks good for an ABC. We are looking for that fifth wave to top out here and form that double top formation. Your short trade is either the rejection of the naked point of control that we had here from a previous Tuesday on the 4th of November, or literally looking for the double top, short, stop loss at the high. Or the other day right over here, right? We can detect these movements. What we can detect here is from this bounce, you know, we are slowing down after the general move down here. This is the general wave, which we always want to label the wave 3 as priority. When you get a wave 3, well, eventually, if you have a couple of 1-2s, you know, you're looking for a couple of 4-5s. The overall question is here. Let me turn the music down. How many 4-5s is there, right? Because you can fit one more fourth wave and one more fifth wave here. Could it be in already? Yeah, you could possibly give it a chance for this to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, or 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You still have your 4 and 5 left, right? All of this is your third wave. This is really the tricky part down here, right? When you have lots, you know, a lot of micro counts possible here in this range. Generally two here. So we can go a little bit into detail on that. Talk about the support, talk about the most bearish case scenario on the higher time frame, talk about the bullish case scenario as well, which looks very interesting, guys. I just see so much bearishness out there. And eventually, yes, the 4-year cycle theory. I did sell some of my spot Bitcoin. I'm more interested in intraday setups, right? Little swing trades that we talk about here, how we can look for the entries. Just a day trade of a few $1,000s, maybe a little swing trade of $5,000-$6,000 of a movement. And that's what we try and detect. I've sold some of my spot Bitcoin, but I feel it's not enough, right? I should have sold a little bit more, 25%, which is not that much, but I'm happy because I like holding Bitcoin, you know, as well, as a diversification. You know, I'm not sure you, but I have a stack of cash right now, which is, you know, with the market conditions and what is following up throughout the news, right, in the week, and how the economy is looking. Will there be a recession in 2026? Everything's overhyped. The stock market's overhyped. The dollar index looks pretty okay to get a reversal here, if I'm honest. The dollar index is kind of bottoming out here. Now, if we bounce and then roll over, I don't know, but it's bottoming out and it might get a huge rally. It might gain some strength. So, I mean, holding a stack of cash is, you know, also, you know, diversification, right? A lot of people talk, too many people talking about inflation and that the dollar is dead and all the currencies are dead and all the rest of it. It's always good to have cash just when the markets go down, right? You want to have you want to be liquid to buy things when, you know, things are looking bad. So anyway, we're not here to talk about that, guys. Just as we get the people in, smashing up the like button, let me just go quickly through the comment section and we'll break down the different scenarios and where we can find some opportunities with good risk management. Okay, 80 likes, almost 500 people watching. Guys, I'm going to go around the table. When I come back, I want to see over 100 likes. Comment section and we're diving into the price of Bitcoin. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, we did it. We did it. Let's go. Comment section right away. Got a bit of fishy comments before in the video update today because we're saying, you know, 100k coming. 100k coming. Doesn't mean we need to shoot up, okay? We'll be explaining the different scenarios in the next coming minutes. What's going on? Stavros, how are you doing? Bing Copper, much love to you guys. The next days is decision time. Very true. Yes, but the weekly close looks so bad. We are beneath the weekly moving average, 50 weekly moving average. Weekly close is insane. And we are beneath a big major point of control. They absolutely, you know, failed us. I mean, we're just ever so slightly trading beneath it, right? No major breakdown. This is kind of good. Not breaking down as such a major cluster. These are the kind of levels that you need to break, right? Really nuke down to you know, to basically confirm that you're breaking down solidly. This ain't no breakdown. This ain't no solid breakdown. I can tell you that already. This beneath this point of control, just dancing around here. This is cooking, guys. This is cooking. Of course, a couple of more lows could be on the formation. You know, you obviously trying to detect that reversal and trying to long this reversal, guys, is only for the brave, only for the people that can manage risk very, very well, only the ones that are looking for the local double bottom of the last few days or a triple bottom, because you're testing the lows. There's going to be long interest here for sure, no doubt. So yeah, it's only for the people that can manage risk. If the trend ever changes to the upside, we might be even interested in a short next week, guys. If we were to chop here in this range, claim the lows a few times, and we get that bounce, and that bounce looks absolutely horrendous, we'll probably be interested in shorting in the next coming days if we were to get that bounce and it looks very choppy, very overlappy. We'll be detecting that on the 15-minute time frame as we do, guys, right? We look at the 15-minute and we try and detect the possible reversal scenarios in a downtrend of, you know, since all-time high, because we are downtrending and we don't want to get too bullish on the pumps. So we need that bigger bounce at some point, and we're either going to short or we're either going to long on the bounce, right? Shorts have been looking very more interesting throughout the last 1 to 2 weeks, okay? Shorts have been better. They've been better, right? As the general idea is to come to 99K. So hang on, bear with me here. It's over. Yeah, I kind of feel bad because, you know, I would have sold more Bitcoin up here. I only sold 15%. I did DCA out here throughout the previous months, about 10%. And here I thought, you know, I'm going to actually sell a chunk of Bitcoin, 15%, which is quite a bit, guys. But it would have been nice to just sell all of it, right? And buy some here. Would have buyed, you know, 30% more down here of Bitcoin. But, you know, it's just, that's how it games. You can't, you know, never detect the exact high. There was a good chance here for this one. The main reason of selling this was because of the flat idea, you know, and saying, you know, I'm aware about rejecting here at this zone. I want to sell, just because of also where we are in the cycle. But how many people got trapped, even myself, with a couple of altcoins, guys? It is what it is. October, guys, right? Who got trapped in October? I always play the safe side of it. I always play the safe side. You know, I did sell here, was very vocal on you know, on YouTube and saying, hey, you know, I'm getting out with at least, I'm selling 15% on my entire holdings. Nothing to do with trading. It's more as a spot bag investment. But I also have crypto in my portfolio. So you know, just letting you aware, it's a good zone to start DCAing. Whoever's been following the channel and has been very much in the investment side, apart from trading, we do talk about mainly trading scenarios internally, but I am also a Bitcoin and crypto investor. And whoever's been on the channel knows that since we broke below $30,000 was DCAing time very aggressively, right? We're buying a bit more Bitcoin, guys. It is bear market. We're going lower. People calling for $10,000 and all of it. It doesn't matter. We're buying, right? We're buying on the way down. We're looking for a recovery in the next 1 to 2 years eventually and enter a bull market. When you do take a look at this bull market, it has been pretty aggressive, right? It's been a pretty phenomenal bull market, despite all of those crazy targets of 200K and 500,000, right, that you're going to see, which people do obviously still talk about it. And it's had an awesome rally. So if you don't DCA out slowly here at these ranges, right, I managed to actually sell 15% at the Pico top. Would have been nice to sell a bit more, but you know, you just can't sell. You can't buy everything at 15K and sell everything at 126K, right? It needs to be a average buying zone and a average, you know, take a bit out on the way up, right? It's just the best strategy. It always works. Anyway, we're going to be covering a little bit of the different scenarios here all together. Do we still have hope? I mean, we are looking for a local reversal bounce, right? Let's just say that. My title today was 100K soon, 100K-ish soon, despite the choppiness down here, which I see it's the highest probability scenario. We can explain that, guys. If the price were to nuke down from here, then, you know, risk management based on trading. If we double bottom, I'm happy to long at the lows. Only if we double bottom. If we do not double bottom, well, then eventually we nuke down and there's no long to be taken. Okay, so it's getting ready. It's understanding where to enter, where not to enter, where to sit on your hands. And we can discuss that in this video update. Anyway, quick say hello to the beautiful community. Andy the Man, Evo, much love to you. Smash the likes, guys. Thank you very much for smashing the like. If you do enjoy the content, do so. Low is in. Low is close to being in. Low is close to be in my opinion, okay? But in a downtrending market, it is for sure very hard to spot the reversal, exact moment of the reversal, okay? You can have an idea that it is going to likely reverse soon based on the structure and the waves and how we got down here. You can have an idea that breaking down to much lower levels is let me know if you can hear me well, guys. Breaking down to much lower levels is an unlikely scenario at this point. Yeah, sure, testing the lows again, 93, 92, 91, that is all okay. But we were talking about this ever since we got the drop right throughout Friday and we slowed down, right? What we want to see is a slowdown somewhere in this range, which we are doing right now. The question is, do we test the lows again, right? That's the main question. So yeah, we'll be breaking this down. Hello to everybody. Sorry, I didn't go through the comment section here, okay? The last hope will crash. Very possible it is. Now we on. Let's go. Good evening, Reynaldo. How are you doing? Non-trader, hello. Can't wait for alt season. Oh my goodness. I would, 20% of the altcoins that I hold, except, ICP, I managed to lock in almost my investment because the general price where I bought ICP was in between $5 and $6. And as we got last week to about $8, $9, I wanted to take out, at least my investment out, okay? Very close to my investment. So I kind of have a free bag on ICP, but it depends on how you manage your portfolio, right? Everybody's different. Some people have bought AI hype. Some people have bought, I don't know, everybody's different. I am down, but on altcoins, but not that much. Not that much. It's over for the bull, says Axel. Yeah, it doesn't look too nice at all, right? But regarding Ethereum, I haven't made too much profits on Ethereum. Most of the spot bags have been bought around $1,000 range, slightly higher. So it's not that much. I sold about 20% of Ethereum, just under $5,000. So I haven't got that. The profits haven't been huge. On Bitcoin, they've been pretty good. But on altcoins, at least for me, I haven't had the greatest cycle. Like most of you guys, right? Let's be honest. But it hasn't been that bad. I've been quite defensive. I was down on ICP on the drop, basically on the liquidation event. And I thought, wow, down over 50% on the ICP bag. But we're going to hold on. ICP got a miracle recovery a few weeks ago. And we always need to consider a short squeezy scenario. So, that's a moment to actually... That's the opportunity to take some of your investment out and maybe profit. Some people did buy ICP below $3. So whoever did, that was a good move without a doubt. That was a good move, but ICP is kind of losing it here. Kind of losing it. Not a bad idea to scale out if you've been averaging buying throughout 2025, right? Which is what I did. My last buy here on ICP was $4 and then nuked. And, you get this kind of rally that's absolutely insane, claiming above the highs. Let's start getting, at least your investment out and leave a moon bag, and then it can do whatever it wants in the next coming months or years. But yeah, that was a little bit of... This was my only one that I was down aggressively, because the rest of the altcoins I've been putting like 1% of portfolio. It's been a bit of a hit, but the big ones have been Ethereum, Chainlink, which are still in the profit. I can't say that I'm in the loss because I'm not. But the one that I was in the loss based on accumulation throughout 2025, this range, it was on the liquidation crash. So... I was like, I'm not selling, guys. We're not going to sell at a loss. Imagine selling here and then getting this pump of the 3x, right? And obviously, we hold on here, guys. We hold on. And once we were getting this pump, I let people know, guys, I'm selling some, right? I'm selling some from here just to stay on the safe side. The ICP gave us the opportunity to get out, right, regarding spot bags. So anyway, I'm not sure why I'm going through this, guys. Sorry, just keeping it a little bit chatty here. Short XRP to $1. Yeah, XRP army. I'm not sure. Everyone's screaming bear market, hence mega bull market incoming. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bearishness. Fear and greed index, I mean, is like really at extreme fear. And the technicals still have, there's still a possibility on the technicals. On the technicals, there is still a possibility where, one of the main things that you are going to see around there right now is the 50 weekly moving average. We're not a moving average people, right? I mean, not myself anyway. Maybe you are. And this is like the confirmation for many out there, people that use higher time frame moving averages, because it is true that if you did close a weekly candle below the 50 weekly moving average throughout the previous 2 cycles, it did start the bear market. It was a bear market signal. I'm not going to buy it, right? I'm not going to buy this. I'm not buying it. I'm going to give a chance for the bulls on the bounce. And then here on YouTube, we will detect the highest probability scenario on the bounce, because there is going to be a bounce happening at some point. Just so you're aware, that our job is to detect if that bounce is going to be our exit. I will be happy if we do identify a very corrective bounce, that it's going to be the exit. And that's how I exited the previous bull run with over 25% of all my crypto. This bounce is where I exited. And the people know that. People even know that have been following me. I think I had about 10,000 or 20,000 subscribers back here. I'm not sure. Not many people. But the people that have been legit followers for that long, a lot of people have died, guys, right? You see all of the crypto channels with millions of subscribers and getting 20, 30,000 views. People die. People literally give up. Right, us as a technical channel and a trading channel, right? We can short, we can long. Whoever been shorting throughout the last couple of weeks as intraday and small swing trades to get below 99k will have done a good job, right? So we like to trade shorts as well. It's just where we at right now is, you can get into little scalp shorts and longs at the highs, at the lows, It's one of those points that you're looking for a reversal. Without a doubt, testing the lows, right? As we are downtrending still, there's no signs that this is the low and we're going to reverse from here. There's signs that it could happen soon. That's what we want to point out here. This was actually an easy pattern to identify. You had a Wyckoff distribution with your 3 peaks here, sign of weakness, and obviously your automatic rally, right? You're breaking structure here. And this movement to the downside looked very impulsive, and this looked very overlapping and corrective. And, it was just an easy decision to say, right, guys, I'm getting out on the bounce. That's what we want to do here. Okay, I wouldn't sell spot Bitcoin at this moment. We're likely going to get that relief rally, and understanding the contracting diagonal idea, which is this one, okay, even though if it's a multiple 1-2, which could be the case, right? Multiple 1-2 is also one of the scenarios, which, you're looking for a bounce at some point. If this bounce is already going to be weak, we will try and detect that, in time. then we'll look for new shorts to the lows, and then eventually we'll I think I'm not going to sell any of my spot Bitcoin, but ultimately it would be nice to see this as a contracting diagonal, and then obviously look for a significant bounce. This would be the ideal scenario where you do get that bounce, and this is your wave one. Okay, if that is the scenario, what I am anticipating here, that we could potentially get a larger relief rally in the next coming weeks, regardless if it's 91 or if it's 90k or if it's 88k, because we do have another scenario which is bullish. But you're going to get some kind of a rally, right? And it will be our mission to detect if it is going to be corrective. How do we analyze if it's corrective or not? Well, the easiest one is a zigzag correction and another zigzag up, right? And then overlap. That will be the easiest to detect as a correction. We will be monitoring the price action. We can't draw and speculate, but there's going to be a bounce. Will that bounce be a strong impulse, or will it be a very corrective structure throughout the next coming weeks, right? That's the overall question that I have right now, because most of the scenarios here are pointing out for a reversal. Okay, worst case scenario, which is, I have to say it's possible. It's still looking for a bounce regardless, which is bouncing to around about $100,000. Right in that other wave two. If you are forming multiple 1-2s on the higher time frame, 1-2, wave two, usually gets at least to the 50%. Sometimes golden pocket, sometimes 7-8. So 50% was, above 50% was tapped here. When you consider this low and this lower high, well, you barely just scratched the 50% on this one. So as we understand that this is slowing down after the bigger move here that happened throughout Friday, slowing down throughout the weekend, that wave two, you are looking at 50% or so to be hit at some point, regardless if you test the lows again or again later on, right, throughout the week. But, some relief rally is going to be expected. Will that relief rally be correction? Which we will very well identify the probabilities of that movement. We just haven't got it, guys. Right? We haven't got the bounce. Just like this bounce that we got last week, heading to 107k. We had that bounce and we were looking for corrective scenarios more than impulsive ones. 107 to 108k, guys. Looking for the resistance here. Let's analyze the internal waves. Best scenario here was the wave 3, wave 4. We did get a correction. We did almost claim 107.5. That is the moment on the local double top to enter the short position. We explain how to enter the trades as well here, right? But I could not speculate on the bounce, if it's going to be bullish or bearish, if we haven't got it, right? We haven't got the bounce. We cannot speculate if we're going to form a lower high or not. There are some bullish scenarios that I do like. Eventually, we're going to give a chance for the bulls inevitably, which is looking at this movement down, contracting diagonal. Your best scenario is an ABC expanding flat, right? Where you have your A wave from this all-time high, B wave zigzag up, which is very disturbing that we formed this three wavy structure. It looks more than a three waver than a five waver. And then obviously the C wave, right? Let's just turn this big. Now this is your bullish scenario, an expanding flat, and your ABC here forming a contracting diagonal, even though, which would be surprising, is even going to lower prices if you are going to be forming 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 4 5. I mean, that would be pretty brutal for a flat. It would be a little bit too, it would be a little bit off of C wave targets on an expanding flat. So I'm not really considering this impulsive to still consider, you know, the flat. It would be better to have the contracting diagonal, if I'm honest with you here. And another bullish case, which is interesting, is Devil pointed out this. I have it somewhere here on a folder. Yeah, this one right over here. This one right over here, which is the flat scenario, which you had a very strong 5-way move down, the zigzag up, and then you have a zigzag down here. Now, the thing with this would be coming to its end stages, and I can explain that on the lower time frame. If this were to be the case, that we are forming a double zigzag, the X wave is quite shallow in time. But hear me out. If this is an impulse in your zigzag here of your wave Y, if this over here is your impulse, that is your 3-wave corrective structure that we detected last week to roll down. Right now, what you're looking for is an A wave here, this to be the B wave, and this to be the C wave formation to finish your Y wave. And in a C wave of a zigzag, eventually, you want a 5-wave structure, which comes to the conclusion of, yeah, we have formed your first 1 and 2, your big movement down, which was on, you know, between Thursday and Friday. And now you're forming your choppiness to finish your 4 and 5, because you do have at least a double 1-2 here. You know, I would label this does look better based on timing for a 4-5, because I mean, yeah, we talked about this on the video update where could we fit a 4-5 here. It does fit nicely for all of this 1, 2, 3, and this is your 4 and 5 right over here. And now you're looking for, you know, another 4 and 5, you know, claim these highs or not, get a double 4-5 because you have a double 1-2. But the big move, I mean, it wasn't huge, but the biggest move with highest amount of volume, which you always want to prioritize as your wave 3. And obviously there is the risk of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 expanding 5th wave, which is longer than your 3rd. There's always that risk. There's always, you know, when we're talking about probabilities and the possibility of a reversal from here, you always need to understand as a trader that what are the risks, right? Because I don't want to go in very heavy. It's very hard to detect the lows. Double, triple bottoms is your best option to manage risk here in this area. But you're always, even though the highest probability is getting your wave 3, the longest one, you always need to understand that a expanding 5th wave is very, very possible, right? It's possible, it's lower probability, it doesn't usually happen, but it can happen. And as we get this fear, and then we're going to get even more fear at the lows, which is created by, you know, the selling of BlackRock, right? ETFs, people unloading their Bitcoin, you know, it's like ultimate panic to lead the price to lower levels, right? When we talk about more of a higher time frame perspective. So let's go through lower time frames mainly. Okay, we will go through the lower time frames, but yeah, that's what I wanted to explain a little bit here based on the bullish scenario. Okay, this one kind of looks attractive, where you have a flat NW, you get your zigzag and wave X, which is a little bit shallow in time. I have to say it's relatively a short zigzag up, and then you have your zigzag down here. And what is interesting about this is that you do have the target zone, right, being the 1-to-1 to the 1-2-3-6, which is in between $95,000 and $90,000, which is the target zone, right, for your WXY, okay, corrective structure for your Y wave. You get your extension from Y and X, and in between 1 to 1 and 1, 2, 3, 6 is the common target area for your wave Y. So, you know, this is, you need to give it a chance, but eventually, longing in this heavy downtrend, only the local double, triple bottoms is your option to get a good entry. If it comes back down, you get stopped out break even, then you wait for either another low to be hit and a recovery, another liquidity grab from the recent lows. Very, very hard with the local time frame to identify anything bullish about these bounces. I mean, if you know this bounce, this bounce also very, very difficult. You got a bit of a sneaky wick here. So yeah, it's just it's kind of very, very hard to look for a higher low here in this zone, right? Maybe here someone entered, but ultimately we just tested the highs. I think we had some major bullish CVDs. Extremely hard here to speculate on a higher low, I have to say. Extremely hard. But this is what the markets do as well, right? It gets you to the exact fear. This is the problem of longing double bottoms. You know, you might double bottom, get a significant rally, on the lower time frame, come down to stop you out, and then, you know, literally get the rally later on. You know, we've seen this many, many times. But it's very, 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 very difficult eventually in a downtrend. In a very downtrending market, you realize that you could have a couple of more 4 and 5s here on the development. And it just makes it very, very complex to get into a higher low, right? Very, very difficult to get into a higher low here. Let's talk about the major support levels that we have beneath us. Something interesting is that we are hitting we at the golden pocket. This is also probably a reason why we're slowing down here. We've got a lot of levels here. One of them is the golden pocket as well, from the pivot low here to the pivot high. You know, we're literally in the golden pocket. That's where we got the reaction in the last couple of days, right? Just a little bounce. It is reacting. So this is actually kind of holding. That's where you get in the local choppiness, right? Golden pocket from this pivot low to the pivot high, all-time high basically, right? And this is higher time frame, right? Higher time frame, swing low to swing high. Yeah, let's go. We're just rolling down. It looks like that we are going to test the lows. Speculating on a higher low here, I think is, you know, there's no good long position, I have to say. No good long position at the moment. I would remain patient to look for a sweep of the low and look for the double bottom formation here. And then that one could be the one that's actually going to get the larger relief rally to sweep up all of the lower highs. So if there's no major long here at the moment. This movement up doesn't look incredible. It doesn't look incredible as an impulse. So that's the problem right now, that we're not seeing any major good signs of strength to detect a correction and long a higher low, right? I wouldn't consider this one a good level to long at a higher low. This one either, right? I would rather prefer to get the liquidity grab and, you know, enter a small position, right? Stop loss at the low if you do recover. And that's the only long that I would consider at this point, to basically get to the highs of the range, right? Of this range right over here. But higher lows right now to get into a long. Obviously, longing the movements up. Forget about this, guys. Forget about longing. If you move from here, if you sweep the lows and you get that bounce throughout in between today and tomorrow, and you did not long at the reaction of the lows, the liquidity grab, this is no level to long. I'm sorry to say, right? So you wait patiently to sweep the lows and you take the chance. If you get back above, okay, close a 15-minute, right, candle above those lows, or even an hourly candle, get that wick, and then consider the possible reaction bounce. But this is without a doubt a level that you should not long, because eventually this could just still continue this downtrend momentum. So at this moment of reversal speculation, it's very, very hard here. Just imagine that the price does get a bounce from here and it forms a higher low. I mean, we've seen this happen. It's just not a good long based on a strategy. But if the price does not claim these lows and it suddenly bounces from here, it's just a super hard long position. Super hard. You know, it's not a long that I would enter, me personally. If it bounces from here, you just need to let it go, kind of thing. So it's just also, you know, the probabilities on extremely high to get a bounce. So, you know, it's one of those areas, if you do get the bounce, you just kind of have to miss it. I don't have a clean entry point here. We're still rolling. Very good chance that you do claim the lows again. I would rather look for the liquidity grab, right, and get into this long over here, bait on the lows, and then, you know, have a great position where I can protect and I can maybe take profits at the range highs, right, just on the lower high trend formation. But to get into a long or a short here, guys, there's literally nothing to do. We got a cheeky liquidity grab SFP on, I think, most of the exchanges. I think Bybit, Bluffin did take out this recent high of today. Coinbase, I think, barely just touched it. I think we did create that SFP. Yeah, we did. Very, very sniper trading, you know, sweep up the high of today right over here to get into a short. You need to be very, very quick on these ones. But that would have been an option eventually here. And for, you know, where we at currently at the moment, there's literally no major opportunity that I can say let's short here. We can go on the lower time frame, but the general idea on the 1 hourly, guys, is to really look for exhaustion. We are getting the exhaustion, you like it or not. We are getting the exhaustion. You know, maybe this one is going to be the sweep of the low of 93, 92K. And then, you know, look for that double bottom and a relief rally to potentially sweep up the highs here in the next, 24 to 48 hours. Or form another lower high, maybe, right? In this downtrending little range. It's a downtrending range. But, when you're in this downtrending range, you eventually get into a short at the highs if you got a strategy, or you long the triple bottoms, right? If you get the reaction and take profit at the highs of the downtrend. And here maybe you could speculate on a short. I mean, I always prefer a sweep of a recent highs to speculate on a short. It's always nicer to get a liquidity grab to enter that short. But where we at right now is just like nothing, right? We're just a few $100s of claiming those lows. So I'll just remain patient to see how we move down here. If it is going to be a solid breakdown. If it is a solid breakdown, guys, we're just going to have to sit on our hands. But I would be ready to speculate on a long position if we do double bottom here. Okay. Wouldn't be too much in a rush. You just need to get that price action back above the recent lows, get that liquidity grab, maybe $1,000 drop. We're just gonna have to see, guys. And if it suddenly bounces from here, it's a difficult trade. Unless we have insane, massive bullish CVDs, which we don't. So we did have them, this is why we did create this spike. We did actually have bullish CVDs today with this movement down. We got the higher low on price action and pretty aggressive lower lows throughout a few of the exchanges, and also Bybit US dollar here in the yellow. And we just got a major bounce to claim, all of the shorts entering here with high leverage, just to wipe them out. So, But currently at the moment, we haven't got anything on the CVD. I would prefer the lows to be claimed, obviously. Obviously, you know, I think there's a good chance that we're just going to take those lows in the next hour or so. We'll see. We'll see. Major levels of support. I mean, we are getting those little bounces here. That is the low of the golden pocket, 6.5 at 92.5. We got the CME gap just below 92. This box right over here is the CME gap that we have. If we go to the CME futures chart, filling the gaps do provide support, guys. The gaps usually provide support or resistance, and we do have that CME futures gap right over there that might, you know, I would say it's a difficult. The main reason, I mean, we're looking for bouncing zones, guys, at this moment. Okay, this is no zone that we can have a very good high probability short trade. We've been bearish throughout the last 2 weeks. Okay, so it's just looking for trading opportunities. I would not want to enter a short where we are right now, right? So we're looking for bouncing areas very, very carefully. CME gap is not too far away, legends, okay? On the, yeah, this is why it's important to take a look at the BTC, BTC1, right? We are literally a few $100 away from filling, well, no, more like $1,000 to complete filling the gap, okay? So the thing about speculating on a possible bounce here for Bitcoin, paying attention to the futures chart, I think is quite important, because there is that little gap here, and I don't care about the gap getting filled or not. What I care that if it does get filled, and I have another strategy with my analysis, like the double triple bottom scenario, we basically, you know, losing steam on the downtrend. The steam happens when you form a few 1-2s. That's when you're interested in speculating on the breakdown, on the steam formation, right? From 103K zone, that's when we could break down below 99K, and that's a move of $4,000 or $5,000 at least, right? That you wanna try and grab. But we don't have this down here, right? We don't have the analysis that we had last week, which is, it looks good, guys. We're probably going down there in the next 1 to 2 days, right? Aggressively. Based on Elliott wave, right? 1 2 1 2, boom 3, right? We don't have this down here, and what we have down here is the slowdown, right? The slowdown formation. You know, a great example from this was on the lower time frames just a few days ago, but it was to the upside, where you get that 1 2 1 2, boom boom, 3 4 5 4 5, right? Even though this was a more of an ABC structure, you had a contracting diagonal, but you get the deal. The big move happened here. This is like 5 minute, 3 minute time frame, and this is the same thing but on the higher time frame. So we are just about to hit those lows. All right, let's see how we react to those lows. Preferably we do fill the gap. The gap usually provides support. So it is a bouncing area. Preferably we do fill the entire gap, which is coming here on the CME futures at 92K basically, right? 92K on the CME futures is literally filling the gap. Which we are about to do so. And the gaps usually provide support. So let's get down there, fill that gap, and see how we behave here. So yeah, that's a little bit it, guys. Not much really to really speculate on. This is something that we talked about in the last couple of days, also on the weekend. You know, I am looking for a bounce regardless. Testing the lows is very much anticipated here a few more times. Now we need to see this, either the triple bottom, or we need to see the gap getting a reaction, and it would be nice to actually fill that gap right now and that, you know, most of the times does provide support. A CME futures gap does provide support most of the times, right? So it's going to be interesting. We could be filling that gap maybe throughout the stream, maybe in the next 1 to 2 hours if the price decides to get a bit of a relief. If the price does bounce from here, yeah, it's just a very, very difficult, you know, decision to enter along. You know, I'm not interested in speculating on a higher low here at all. You know, it's one of those things that if the price decides to, unless, right? Because, I mean, the market doesn't want to give you the chances a lot of the time. Sometimes it does. But if the price were to form a nice little 5-wave rally here, and then, you know, very, very corrective scenario, then I would consider maybe, if it is going to be gentle and it's going to be, you know, not too volatile, and you get a clear impulse up and a bit of a choppy corrective structure, then, you know, could speculate on that next push to the upside. But these bounces do not look too promising, right? So it's a very hard to say. You know, it's one of those levels that if you bounce, it's like, well, so be it. I'll look for a sign of strength, and there will be opportunities tomorrow or after tomorrow, right? So for the moment, at where we are at this point, we prioritize better to hit the lows. So sit on the hands based on longs. Not a great zone to enter a short because you haven't got a wide, you know, take profit zone. You could just wick down and then move up, right? You just haven't got a wide take profit zone if you enter a short here. So it's let's claim the low. Let's see if we fill the gap, and that could give us a sign of getting a bounce. Also here, looking at the CME futures, which is right over here. We're just about $1,000 away on filling that gap. Let's go to the 1 hourly time frame. Let's go through the comment section. Higher time frames a little bit explained. It's either contracting diagonal. This is the most important scenario at the moment, this wave over here, which looks like it is ready to get, you know, the reversal. And for any bottom catchers, like I said, the double bottom, triple bottom is your only chance. Or, you know, if you got solid support, CME gap would be the option. Once the gap is filled and you get a little reaction, you know, it does work a lot of the times, you know, putting stop loss beneath the low once you get a reaction after filling the gap. So let's see. If it nukes down, there's nothing to do, guys, right? If we just suddenly get a waterfall formation, I don't want anybody like, I'm building up along and all of that nonsense. If you're comfortable and you're forming and you have a strategy, that's fine. I would rather see reactions, test the lows, and then, you know, probably get into a sniper long if you do get the reaction. But whoever's building big positions, be careful, right? Just be careful, manage risk. We look at probabilities. We don't have a crystal ball, even though sometimes it looks like it. But, you know, sometimes, you know, I am wrong a lot of the times as well, guys, right? Just so you're aware. People know that. I lost the 50 EMA. Let's go through the comment section a little bit here, guys. Sorry about that. I haven't gone through the comment section. Is 6K away from the last cycle highs? 75 is 6K away from the last cycle highs. No way bull market continues from here, from there. That's so close to bare bottom. Yeah, flush to 86K coming days. Perfect Wyckoff distribution pattern. Very possible on the higher time frame. Higher time frame Wyckoff distribution. I didn't see kind of, right? Kind of here. You got your distribution from after getting those highs over here. Problem here for me was we didn't get much red volume until the liquidation event, right? That was on the 10th of October, sorry. But yeah, I mean, this was without a doubt a zone to consider shorts on the bounces or to sell some of your Bitcoin. Obviously, I did sell a stack of my Bitcoin here, holdings. You know, we're very much aware of that, guys. You know, we've had an awesome bull run on Bitcoin, not on crypto in general, but on Bitcoin, it's been pretty damn awesome. And, you know, detecting one more higher low and one more high is what's challenging here at this point. But as an investment, also investing in crypto and Bitcoin and crypto, once you've had the big moves up, if you get some extra, another low, another high, another higher low, and another high, it doesn't really matter. You know, if we were to hit all-time high, you know, in the next coming weeks, which sounds silly at this moment, right? With this bear market sentiment that there is at the moment, I can tell you that there is a chance. Why not? But it would be an exit zone, right? It would be a moment to start. I would be very, very happy to unload some of my Bitcoin bags above 126K. You know, there's no doubt about it, right? You're going to get silly talk. You're going to get a lot of, like what happened here in October. Despite whatever happened here, I promised myself that at least I'm going to sell 15% of my spot bags once we cross this high, which was highly likely we were going to. Despite October and Moonvember and the 4-year cycle theory, we should top out in November or December. This is going to fly for a few weeks. We hit all-time high. You need to start getting out, guys. You know, start taking profits. Inevitably, right? So I hope some people did manage to play well on the market. I still hold 75% of my Bitcoin, but we're still in profits. Even if I sold 50% now, I just don't want to sell here. So I'm really well diversified myself. I felt like talking about more investment right now, because right now where the price is, it's either, you know, waiting for the lows, waiting for the CME gap to be filled, probably get support. Where are we at currently right now regarding a setup on trading, guys? It's like I mentioned, fill the gap, look for support as we fill the gap to get that bounce for an entry. You want to enter at the gap basically if you are getting a reaction. I wouldn't, the problem is by having the gap so close to the low, I would rather wait for the gap to be filled and look for the gap to get supported here. Of course, you could just wick down and form that double bottom. We're just so close, and we're just going to do it now in the next coming minutes. So let's just wait and see. There's no major setup here to be taken. So regarding trading setups, there's not much to be talked about. Guys, remember, if you are interested in trading, I know a lot of you already signed up and already trading on different platforms. 15% cashback on bluffing up to $3,000. Okay, this is massive, right? You know, 15 up to $3,000. You deposit $30,000, you are going to get, almost $3,000 on that. Over 3,000. Yeah, well, basically 3,000. Obviously, 10% of 30,000 is 3,000. So take advantage, guys, of these bonuses. You also have BTCC with $10,000 of rewards. Okay, it's another way to support the channel, but at no cost of yours. And this is for the experienced traders. BTCC, you can trade stock market and gold as well, guys. Take advantage. You have the links down below, okay? Whoever's interested to claim those bonuses. Let's go through the comment section. Man, if Bitcoin's going to stay here, that would have been this was an interesting area to snipe a short. Obviously, I want those lows to be claimed. There's really nothing to do here. I'll preferably get that CME gap filled, which provides support most of the time. So where we currently are at the moment is a bit of a no trade zone, right? No man's land. And if we were to get the bounce from here, it's just one of those trades that you don't get I just don't get into, right? So it's so much satisfying to miss trades, okay, then actually get into it, and probably it doesn't play out, right? Because there's so many moments that it's a bad idea to enter a trade, because if you entered, and the price takes out the lows. But I've seen a lot of these slightly higher lows play out sometimes, where you just almost take out the lows. I mean, look at this one right over here, right? Who got into a long position here back in, the first week of November, basically last week? Much easier to wait for the price to develop, right? And, this was an easier short right there. This is an easy short that was mentioned last week. Easy detectable short. This one as well in this area was, this was a plan that it happened at the beginning of the stream of last Thursday, speculating on that rollover that had the highest probability. But who enters here a long position? Basically, when we take a look at this price action right over here, right? It's one of those longs that I don't think many people entered here, right? Almost claiming this low when you're downtrending like this, right? It's one of those that you just don't take, right? I did not long here. I did not long this pivot, that's for sure. So that means obviously that where we at right now, you have seen a low almost being taken and get the bounce as I just let you know. So it's a very brave long. It is a brave long level for all of the brave guys out there. And, depending on your strategy as well, you might think, well, you know what? I want to enter with 1% and I'm going to have my stop loss at 91K. Once we get the CME gap filled and we do get that reaction bounce, or, we actually trade back above this low, I'm going to add to that position with a bit of confirmation. But I would rather say it's a mistrade. We'll have a much clear information throughout the next coming days, either down here or either up here for some other setups. Right now, when we're just slowly grinding down, you're just claiming lows, forming lower highs, sweeping some internal lower highs. Bit of a boring ranging formation here. Best option is to claim the lows of this morning or yesterday, claim those lows, fill the gap, see if that gap is going to provide support, right? It's just the best option. You're obviously more interested in looking for the bounce down here. Looking for shorts down here is, yeah, not even with small little bounces, I'm interested. So a little bit of a boring range, unfortunately, guys. But, I'm looking for that reversal. CME gap is the best option. Obviously, even the better option is getting that impulsive move at some point, which could happen maybe in between today and tomorrow. Anybody that is longing down here, just manage risk accordingly. We are looking for that bounce regardless, okay, of claiming the low, filling the gap, all right? The best way eventually is to look for the sign of strength in a clear move to the upside and a corrective structure to the downside. That's your zone of opportunity, which we could, it's going to happen at some point, regardless if it's here or if it's down here, right? It's going to happen at some point. You just need to be ready to detect it. Will it happen from here? I would say we would claim the lows, maybe, possibly fill the gap. That would give you a safer and better entry. It's going to happen at some point, guys, just to let you know. But when it happens, it's where the opportunity lies, right? Let's go through the comment section. Andy, what's your target on the long? I would say, you know, at least 100,000, 100K. I think 100K very likely to be hit in between this week and next week, right? We can't say by tomorrow or something like that. We'll give it a bit of a range, but the main reason why has to do because, look, there's either going to be an explosive recovery that's going to shock everyone, or we're going to get a bounce, a very, very poor bounce that is just going to form another lower high, right? There's a couple of options here. Bounce that forms another lower high and then rolls over later on in the next couple of weeks, or bounce that forms a very strong impulse and forms a very, very corrective downtrend structure for a few days. And obviously we will try and detect to get into that long position. Okay, but I think the reversal will happen before you know it, right? It can be cheeky, just like, you know, almost claiming those lows. I wouldn't expect that, but, you know, price likes to be cheeky, right? So, yeah, the main reason why we're targeting the most bearish case scenario here is a multiple 1-2. With the price action, each wave being smaller, I don't like this second 1-2 as explained. It's just not great. It does look very 3-wavy, but you can count a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even though fourth wave is very, very long compared to the wave 2. But the timing is very, very nice. The waves are getting smaller in time and price action, which is what you want to see for a major collapse. But what is common to see eventually, the minimum target here is hitting the 50% Fibonacci from a wave 2. As we understand on the lower time frame that this is getting exhausted for the impulse because you have your wave 1 and 2 right there, and then your 4 and 5. And obviously we're looking for that double, triple bottom, fill the gap, maybe bounce after filling the gap, right? We're just going to have to remain patient. If the price bounces here, then it's just one of those missed trades and you just accept it. But as explained, the most bearish case scenario is multiple 1-2s. You get the bounce, you go to the 50% golden pocket region, 100K plus, and then you roll over. If we detect this as a corrective structure, we'll be very confident here throughout the next coming days saying, guys, it's just looking very corrective. Another lower high, we might roll over and try and detect those perfect entry points, right? Which is what we did last week with this ABC. Or even still moving down. As explained, if we don't catch the high, which was at 107K last week, we can enter at 103K on the internal price action. Okay, so if you didn't short here, which was mentioned, it doesn't matter shorting the exact high, even though we talked about it. We were actually talking about this forming a lower high here at 103K. So this is I want to save the point here on, we're looking for a reversal bounce to happen, right? I think people want to know exactly when, and I'm sorry. I would say claiming the lows would be the best idea, finding support after filling the gap, and then probably attempting either the double bottom here locally, or if you don't double bottom, look for the gap fill, which is exactly at 92K on CME. If it doesn't fill, it's a very hard long to long here where we are at the moment. It's very, very hard, just a few $100s from hitting the low. It is a hard long to get into. So the thing is, it doesn't matter if you miss the exact low in this movement up. If the price wants to recover, it will. It will show you a sign of recovery. For the moment, we haven't got that sign just yet. So longing down here is dangerous. And as explained, just like the last few days, where we detected that short at 107K, hey, if you didn't short here, doesn't matter. 2 days later, right, we were obviously looking at this zone to get into a possible short. which the ideal scenario was this SFP, which was actually happening, but very much detecting the high probability rollover from here. It doesn't matter, right? Because if the price needs to recover, there will be an initial sign. There will be an initial sign, because it's either going to move up like this, boom, 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 5-wave up, corrective structure, and then another move up. And that's the one that actually gets a bit of explosion. That's the first sign of strength that we want to detect, where you're getting a very, very choppy move down. Unfortunately, we haven't had this yet. If it is longer, it doesn't matter. If it is a bit explosive here, and then it does a longer one, then it doesn't matter. But we're going to have to look for that detection of the first leg up. And it doesn't matter, right? This is a difficult long if it bounces from here. I have to say, it's a difficult long. But there will be another long position if we are going to detect a trend change, right? Because the price ain't going to do this. The price, if it is going to reverse, it's going to do this, right? So, and inside of these waves, you are going to get this, right? Inside of these waves, you're going to get this kind of price action. So, we can look for detection for a long here or a long here, right? We'll obviously attempt that to the upside, just like we attempted last week to the downside. We detected this lower high at 107K, explaining the setup. We already had these waves developed, which is nice, right? You need that information to come with the idea of the trade setup. And then if anybody missed that, then we had more, just a couple of days later, we had that information of, there's nothing bullish about the bounces here. We're likely going to form a lower high. And, we're targeting below 99K as the target. So even though we missed you missed the high here, potentially, we had an opportunity here. So even though we missed the low here, if it were to get an epic bounce from here, and you're like, oh man, just because we didn't claim the low and we didn't fill the gap, and the gaps usually provide support, I was waiting for the gap. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter, because there will be some other opportunity to detect in the next coming days, right? Give or take tomorrow, maybe on Wednesday. So just a heads up on that side, right? Because this is a difficult area. We either fill the gap, claim the lows, and double bottom, or I'm not longing, right? But then you get this kind of price action, which, forms a ever so slightly higher low. And, it happens once in a while. It happens. This one did happen last week. So, could that be the one that forms that higher low and gets an epic bounce and starts sweeping up the highs? So, it's one of those. It's one of those that could happen, right? Which are very, very difficult. Anyway, let's go here. Pivots usually happen at 5-6 p.m. set or dumping. We're about to blast off. Or dump. Yeah, this is the thing. Very, very hard at this moment. I'm longing with my eyes closed, says Staffer1. Much love to you, brother. Thanks for joining the stream. Okay. Much love to Staffer1 here, the absolute legend, on the stream today. Anyway, do you think it was a trap? Don't you think it was a trap? What trap? Bear trap? Bull trap? 100x long on CME gap. Yeah, this is the thing as well. I think a lot of people are waiting for the gap fill. They're waiting for the gap fill. People know that gaps provide support. Will the market give us that opportunity or not? Will the market give us that opportunity? I would assume so. We just need to remain patient. And if it does get a proper sign of strength, which eventually none of these bounces have been a sign of strength. You kind of really need a pretty solid, move and very corrective overlappy structure to say, okay, guys, now it's looking pretty damn good. And it looks like it's rolling over here, but it ends up with the experience that we have. It looks like it might be rolling over. People just start, thinking it's a sweep of liquidity at the highs. and it's rolling over, guys. It's time to claim the low, and it ends up being very corrective. We will try very hard to detect this in the next coming days, guys. Bear with me if I'm live or not, if we have an update. But regardless if that is here or if it's down here after filling the gap, it doesn't matter. Okay, so I would say we're likely going to claim the lows and fill the gap, but market likes to surprises us. We are looking for a reversal scenario here based on the structure that we've had developed in the last week. It is a reversal zone on the higher time frame, guys. Okay, it is a reversal area, just so you understand. Now you manage your risk. If you enter longs, try and get in at the lowest level possible. This is a cheeky higher low, very, very cheeky higher low right there on Bitcoin. You know, we're not making it easy. But I especially would not long here on the bouncers, on these shallow bouncers. No way. Legends, not much to be said. Okay. Just really in a boring range. Would be nice to fill that gap, actually. Provide support. Why does BTC price go down when MicroStrategy just bought around 800 million? I mean, yeah, well, we have had, ETF outflows, okay, as well. Andy, if it continues to pump up from now, when will you long it? We don't have a break of structure or a reclaim level. I think the best scenario here is seeing a proper impulse. Catching the lows here it's either double bottom for me. It's either double bottom or fill the gap. Once the gap is filled, you can attempt that long, as they usually provide support, but only down there. If you lose the gap, I wouldn't be interested in longing. There's no reclaim or break of trend where I would long here. We're breaking the downtrend. Let's long. Absolutely not. We would have to see a 5-wave impulse corrective structure, and that's where we'd have to long for that potential rally. There's just no other way, guys. I have to say, there's no other safer way to do it. Which is literally what we were detecting throughout the last week on the bearish scenario. This is Elliott wave theory with confluence at 107.5k. Elliott wave combined, understanding where the turning point is. This is the turning point right there last week at 107k. This is the turning point right over here, because this looks weak. 1, 2, ABC. No, I don't think so. Is this an impulse? It doesn't look impulsive, this price action. It looks very corrective. If this move up is corrective, double 1, 2 is your priority here. And then obviously 1, 2, 3. You're going to get the third wave coming in at some point. I need the information, right? With what we got right now, it's claim the lows. Claim the lows. The gap is support, right? It's either double bottom or it's either gap fill. Find support and take the decision, stop loss, beneath a few $100s of that level. If it needs to bounce, it's going to bounce heavily. If it does nuke down, this is the problem right now with the traders. People are just going to say, well, I'm going to long anyway. Well, do you have any good risk management? Do you have stop loss? Or are you going to add to the position? Be careful, guys. I mean, even though if this is high probability reversal zone, people might be using over leveraged position, and people might be just entering very, very heavily down here. And I'm just going to add at 91 and at 90, and then it really takes a big hit. And then, people get underwater, guys. Don't do that. If you don't get supported at the gap, no need to have any limit longs beneath it, right? It's just, you're exposing yourself too much. If you don't double bottom, you don't want to long underneath the low. Anyway, much love to everybody, okay? Let's see if we do get some more. Tell us, Andy, all. Joe, much love. Andy, what about Ethereum? Looking at 2,900 area to long. Very possible we can fit in Ethereum tomorrow. I longed Sui, says Rave ZA. We're going to do another live stream. Let's see if we get some more information, guys. Double bottom, fill gap, support is the option. If it breaks below those levels, stay safe, trade safe. If not, we get the sign of strength. And then if we are going to be seeing signs of a new uptrend, we will detect it, guys. We will detect it. We've been detecting high probability to get below $99,000 in the last 1 to 2 weeks, looking for shorting areas most of the times. Longs, we had a long, but it was just a quick bounce. Right now down here, we're just looking for the lows to be claimed potentially. Gap possibly to get supported. Those are your zones. And we do have good signs of reversal. There are good signs of reversal based on this price action. But just be aware, this is the chop zone. It's the chop zone, right? If you are long and you want to long at the lowest level possible, you're basically, snipering the lows, the double, triple bottoms. If you were to bounce from here, I say it was difficult. So we'll just get new information in the next coming days. And as mentioned, the idea of what we want to see here eventually is that nice move to the upside and a very, very choppy corrective structure, which a lot of people, it still could eventually come down to the lows, but we will try very carefully. And obviously this is going to develop in the next 24 to 48 hours. It is going to take some time. Detect exactly where the opportunity is to be in that trade up, just like the trade to the downside from here or the trade to the downside from here. Basically anybody that's still in that short from last week, well, congratulations. Taking up most of the profits below 99k was the plan anyway. So let's see anyone that's trying to attempt the lows, you need to get in at the lowest level possible here and manage risk. If not, wait for the first sign of strength. Doesn't matter catching the highs, because there can be opportunities at the lower highs, just as they can be opportunities at the higher lows if we were going to reverse in the coming days. Legends, thank you very much. Stay patient, stay safe. Much love to everybody. Remember that you got those bonuses. Bluffing 15% cashback up to $3,000, BTCC up to $10,000. You got the first 2 links down below. Thank you very much for joining. Staffer1, much love to you, brother. Thanks for joining the stream. Much love to everybody. We'll have clear information tomorrow, but we are looking for that reversal. I'm not looking for a successful breakdown to $80,000. Chop the lows, which, obviously is difficult for many traders, difficult for everybody. But overall, looking for the reversal at some point. Very good signs for it. Much love, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow.